as people now deceased.
We're in Nulla Nulla Creek. It's a beautiful valley on the Mckean River. A truly beautiful valley. And I can see where Slim would have found so much to write about, really, really true bush stories. And I can see here what shaped him very often as a person. He had a fairly solitary life in many ways at home.
In a remote, isolated valley inland from Kempsey on the New South Wales mid-north coast sits Slim Dusty's boyhood home.
And my thoughts wander back many years.
To country music fans who year-round come to pay homage, it's hallowed ground.
Girl, I am roaming.
From the fertile river flats in the early 1940s arose a precocious musical talent named David Kirkpatrick.
This is where he sat on the veranda here with his dad. And this is where old Dave Kirk taught him some of the old songs he knew. And this is where Slim wrote a lot of his songs. Just over there a little way you'll see the dairy and the dairy site where he actually wrote When the Rain Tumbled Down in July.
The cattle string out along the fences. The wind from the south races by. And the limbs from the old gums are falling when the rain tumbles down in July.
Slim Dusty had dreams not of milking cows nor growing crops, but of emulating the troubadour recording stars whose music floated magically from the family's wind-up gramophone. It was the music of the American West, but inspired by the Australian balladeers, Slim Dusty adapted its style to the idiom of the outback.
His father used to recite Lawson and Patterson poetry. He used to play fiddle. He'd lay it down his arm and sing with it, with the fiddle in that old style. But the one that really kicked him off with was an old chap living up the creek. And I don't even know his name. Slim didn't. He said he lived in a hubby or a cottage or something up there. And he said one day, after he'd heard Slim singing, he came out and he said, "Hey, here, look here, young fella." He said, "This is what you should be singing about." And he had the remnants of a book of Lawson's poetry. And I found it amongst Slim's things just recently, just a little while back. And Slim had written across the top, "I call this the beginning." That's where it all began.
Visions come to me of Sweeney with his bottle in his hand.
I think the little 11, 12-year-old boy had the dreams of becoming taking his music out to Australia, and did it from this little valley, And it was very hard for him because after his dad passed away, he felt obliged to stay on the farm with his mum. And I don't know, I'm just really glad that he followed his heart. And when he got that contract at last and went off and did it.
And I sit and think in sorrow of the nights that I have seen, when we fought with chairs and bottles for the orange and the green, for the pride of dear old Ireland, till they rang the breakfast bell, and the honour of old England up at Callaghan's Hotel.
Slim Dusty died in 2003, aged 76, leaving a legacy of 110 albums in a career spanning 60 years, the most prolific and biggest-selling artist in Australia.
The long, long roads of my life are a-calling me.
And Kempsey, close to where it all began, has become the musical capital of Slim and his brand of country. For the past few years, fans have gathered at the town showgrounds for the annual Slim Dusty Music and Memories Week.
It's a long, tough haul from away down south. A man's gotta find a little bread for his mouth and a home for a girl as sweet as my honey can be.
For Slim Dusty fans, this is the ultimate annual pilgrimage, a week-long festival of music and memories celebrating the life of Australia's most famous country singer.
That's where country is, sitting in Three Rivers Hotel.
Many of them are nomads of the country music circuit, travelling to festivals such as this in style and comfort in sophisticated motorhomes. It's a far cry from the early days when Slim Dusty and Joy Mckean set out on their own musical journey.
You look back at it now and you think, oh, glory. But it was an adventure. For young people, it was an adventure.
54 they took off, and it wasn't the norm to sort of, you know, head off on the road with a 2-year-old in tow and take your own country music show out there.
Then when we started on the outback tours, the roads were shocking. And when you're pulling a caravan too, you hit those corrugations, you really hit them. We used to do wheel bearings, hubs, and honestly, buying the tyres, wheel bearings and hubs used to keep us poor. But you travelled more slowly, well, you had to, and you showed in the smaller places. You got a chance to sit and talk to people and listen to their stories. That's where we heard all these stories and heard what people wanted us to sing about.
And I've travelled down some muddy tracks and dry.
Joy Mckean has 1,000 stories of the road and the songs it inspired. The best known are included in a newly released book, I've Been There and Back Again.
The windscreen wipers are a beating in time. The song they sing is a part of my mind, and I can't believe it's really happening to me.
They are both great artists in their own right, and their writing skills and that partnership and marriage combined was, well, I don't think there's been as successful a partnership or marriage in the music industry here in Australia, ever.
I gave my love, dear, to you.
You stole my heart somehow.
Were made for each other, yes, they were made for each other. They wrote so many things, being on the road for such a long time. They met so many wonderful people and heard so many different stories. And it is through their music and being able to put the words to music and the people could understand and enjoy, they got so many ideas for songs and so many stories of our land.
Slim Dusty and Joy Mckean's marriage and creative partnership spanned more than 50 years. Until now, Slim has had most of the limelight.
When we began, we had one microphone, we had one sort of speaker, so it was only a very small sound on stage. I was the only band. I played piano, accordion, and we played guitar. So Anne slept in the little side dressing rooms on the mattresses of the seats you take out of the caravan. That's no problem.
I know I'd do it all again.
She was also the business manager, and she played in the band, and she wrote the songs, wrote a lot of the songs, and was looking after me and David as well, or organising it somehow with babysitters, and it was full on.
The song they sing is a part of my mind.
11 months of the year on the road, performing in almost every small town, forged loyal fans and unbreakable friendships. It inspired strong songs about the Australian way of life, songs that sold many records.
No one could have been more surprised than me and Slim, because we were living a fairly isolated life, if you know what I mean. We were showing 6 nights a week and then travelling on the Sundays, maybe camping out like for the Sunday night.
But country music had its critics. Some sneered at its very Australianness.
It was rather irritating, actually, to have people, as they did, sort of look down on you or us and our music simply because we're Australian. We've always been very hard set against Australian singers, maybe even singing a song about Australia, but then using an international or American accent. Doesn't make sense, and it's not true to where you come from and what you're doing.
Now I've been around Australia.
Some of the most ardent fans can be found in Indigenous communities. Trevor Adamson has recorded When the Rain Tumbles Down in July in Pitjantjatjara. This year's winner of the Slim Dusty Mateship Award was Vince Coulthard, an Indigenous community leader from Port Augusta in South Australia and a lifelong Slim Dusty fan.
All I can say is thank you. I admired this man all my life, the old SD.
Several years before Slim Dusty's death, the family bought back the old Kirkpatrick farm at Nulla Nulla and the humble heritage-listed home where it all began.
It's so special now that we can come up here and feel really close to Dad. This was a real cradle of music. Even when Dad was growing up, a lot of old Irish musicians and old country musicians in this little valley alone.
Got some very nice Angus cattle and also some Angus Charolais cross. It's the funniest thing. What an inquisitive beast the cow is.
Definitely.
You know, they stick your beak around. The cattle, I think Slim would have been pleased. I just only want to be able to turn off cattle that he wouldn't be ashamed of. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do.
Dean, our farm manager, tells us that people, they've had people from Sweden, as far-flung as Sweden, and a lot of people make the pilgrimage out here. With the museum or the Slim Dusty Centre being built, I think that'll only happen more and more.
After a decade of fundraising, the centre in Kempsey, another of Slim Dusty's ambitions, is nearing completion.
As well as it being a museum, a centre for education, culture, in music of all kinds and for young people and young talent, serving also as a centre for the whole community. It also will be a research centre for music and for history of country music.
Then one crazy night we had a fight and she said I had to go.
And I hit the rails in New South Wales without a friend or mate. I stumbled along and I finally found I was in the sunshine.
There's so many of these people that we met in those days are still friends today. You know, you make friends and they're really good friends. And this is what Australian country music is all about. It's the friendship and the love that's there. And we've made some wonderful friends.
Slim Dusty and Joy Mckean's musical legacy now extends to the third generation. Grandson James Arneman, performing here with his mother Anne, is making his own name on the stage.
Girls all shouting around the ringside, 'cause I'm a fella in Connemara.
Though she has given up performing, at 81, Joy Mckean is still writing songs.
The music's it. The music and the stories the music's telling.
Me.